Joining me now is John Barker. He is the CEO of Loncor Gold. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
It's a pleasure to be here. It really is.
So let's get a better idea of the project in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Adumbi mine. You're hoping to have as much as 5 million ounces plus in the near term or immediate term. And also you point out that you're essentially in the shadow of the Barrick Kibali mine that's been operating for 14 years. So can you give us an overview?
Yeah, well, to put it into a very brief context, we're a very big project. As you say, we actually control 4 million ounces. We're drilling, so we should be through 5 million ounces towards the end of the year, the beginning of next year. And we're one of the highest grade projects out there. If you look at the peer group, West and East Africa, we really are one of the highest grade projects. And as you say, we've got a very significant group in close proximity for mining. So you roll that all together and you think, from a valuation perspective, well, we believe that we still offer a lot of value as well. So that's the story.
Right. And so you've got the plan for an open pit, but also drilling is ongoing, and ultimately you want to go below the open pit and grow the resource and perhaps have an underground mine at some point. So can you explain the work that's going on and the next steps there?
Yes, so we've drilled out what could potentially be a large open pit, 3.66 million ounces. And we've had a global consultant put together a very detailed report on it, and it suggests we should mine that at 2.2 grams per ton, which is, I can tell you, is a relative to other places, extremely high grade, certainly higher than Kibali is currently mining. But there are other options, and we need to know what's going on deeper. We've only drilled down, we had only drilled down to just over 500 meters, but this new campaign we've already drilled to 800 meters. It looks like it's getting wider. The grades are certainly there compared to what Kibali is mining currently. So that lends itself up to the potential of maybe looking at a smaller pit, a decline, and underground, which is typical for this type of deposit. So that's something for us to explore in the future when we know what we've got below. And as I say, that's why we're drilling currently, to really consolidate what we have below and push it, we believe, through 5 million ounces in the near future.
And then on the financial side, the company recently raised $9 million in an upsized private placement through Red Cloud. So how would you describe demand as you saw it for that offering, and also how are you going to allocate that money?
Yeah, look, I think it's a reflection of how straightforward our story is. We were extremely well received, and we started out looking to raise 5 million, and after a couple of days it was obvious we were significantly oversubscribed, so we pushed it up to 9.1 mil, and it was still oversubscribed at that point. So we're very happy with the result, and I'd like to say thanks to Red Cloud for all the work that they did on that. But what are we going to use the money? Well, it's that drilling program that I mentioned. We are in a relatively remote location. Whilst we've got Kibali 220 k's away with everything that we need, it's nevertheless, we don't have a lot of infrastructure, so drilling there is not the cheapest. So we will be drilling, and we'll do the majority of the drilling with the cash that we've got there. So that's going to carry us through towards the end of the year.
All right. Now, in terms of the jurisdiction, when you say DRC to some investors, immediately they go, oh, it's too risky geopolitically, I'm not going to bother. But you point out that your team has a lot of experience on the ground in DRC, and that mine that Kibali that Barrick has operated, Kibali, no real issues of any sort the last 14 years, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And it's a cash cow, Kibali. I think it's around $1 billion of operating profit last year. So it really hasn't been impacted. We've had no impact. In fact, we've had one drilling through with excellent results. We've just started with a second drill rig, and we're looking at other options to perhaps increase it further. So we're actually stepping up operations. But you're right about the DRC. There's a perceived discount. But I'd like to just quickly put it into perspective. We're valued in the market currently at around $20 an ounce on enterprise value. That's market cap adjusted for cash and debt and our attributable resources, divided by attributable resources. $20 an ounce. Now, is that cheap or is it expensive? Well, that's obviously for people to decide themselves. I'd just like to point out that, for example, Endeavour says they discover ounces in West and East Africa for just under $25 an ounce. So we're trading with we'd argue, one of the preeminent deposits in the same jurisdiction as the #1 gold mine in Africa for a value per ounce below Endeavour's discovery cost. So that gives you a flavor of where we're coming from. So yeah, DRC discount, is it overdone? I'll let you decide, but I know what my view on that is.
Right, okay. Now, on the personal side, you have a varied background. You worked at RBC Dominion Securities as an analyst for quite a while. You've worked with various mining companies. So I'm wondering, as you sit here today, all those experiences that you've had in terms of understanding projects better and in terms of what's important as far as execution and as far as leadership as well, how do you bring that all together and apply it at Loncor?
It's all about experience and I think also lateral thinking. And it's not just me, we have a team there and we come and in a period of many years where the company doesn't have any cash, it's when we look out to funds that we've known in the past. We tell them the story and we get support. We've had support from major funds in the US names. So it's a network that we've got. Also, you're in a situation where cash is difficult to come across for many years. So what do? You look around. We had a secondary asset. We sold that and got some cash in. And so it's really thinking laterally. That's what we paid for, I think, as senior executives, is to think laterally and to come up with creative ideas in order to move forward. I mean, people forget for many, many years, large parts of the exploration sector really have had little cash. In fact, it's still the case. So you have to be creative, and I think that's one of the key things here. There's no point, as I think Bristow says, moving into the corner of the room and crying if things don't go right. You've got to think your way out of it, and I think that, in essence, is what we're getting paid for.
Yeah. My dad read a book in the 1970s called Lateral Thinking. Is that what you're referring to? Have you read that book?
No, I haven't. No, it sounds like I should.
Yeah. I never read it, but we have an inside joke at home. We always used to tease Dad, well, that's lateral thinking. Anyway, that's great. Great answer. Now, just lastly with the stock, even in the last 6 months, it's up about 31%. It is consolidating some recent gains. Had a big spike and kind of unwinding some of those gains. But how do you think the market perceives? I know you think you're undervalued, but how does the market perceive the Loncor gold story?
I still think that a large proportion of the market doesn't know the Loncor story. That's the first thing. So since October, we've been aggressively marketing, and so more and more people doing. And I think it was reflected in the interest that we saw in the placement we did. But the market, as I say, is just awakening to the story. So we need to go out there. We need to tell the story. We also obviously need to talk about the Congo, and currently the Congo is moving closer and closer to the US. Historically, it's been a close relationship with China, and the US is now looking to stimulate deals in the Congo. We've seen Starlink approved when it's been in the Congo for 5 years. Now it's approved because of Trump's influence. We've seen a large company called Cobalt, which has got Bezos and Gates as major shareholders. They're discussing about putting $1 billion into a project there. And the thought between Rwanda and the DRC coming together and talking positively about the future, steered by the US. That's all happening currently. So, people have to take a view on the Congo, and that has obviously influence on our price as well. And then, of course, the gold as well. So my feeling, we've got a positive outlook both in our project, in the gold price, and in the Congo. And with that, we'd like to think that it augurs well for our share price.
That's really interesting that the DRC is moving west as opposed to east to China.
Exactly, yeah. There's not many countries in Africa that's publicly pulling the U.S. closer in such a way. So it's impressive.
Very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John. John Barker, CEO of Loncor Gold.